President Biden seems pretty proud of how he is handling the Ohio train derailment disaster, even though East Palestine residents, including the mayor, are furious the president hasn't visited their community. Biden is bragging that he has spoken to everyone he needs to about the disaster. Watch.
Let's put this in perspective. Within 2 hours of that derailment, the EPA was in there. Within 2 hours. Every major agency in the United States government that had anything to do with rail and or cleanup was there and is there. In addition to that, I've spoken at length to the congresspersons, the governors, the senators from both states of Pennsylvania and in Ohio. And I've made it clear to them anything they need is available. We'll make it available to them. Whatever happens here, we got to understand it's the responsibility of the railroad company.
So do you plan to travel there, and have you talked with the mayor?
I can't recall whether I don't think I've talked to the mayor. I've talked to everyone else there, and multiple times.
All right. So this is such a disaster, and we pray for them there. I want to go to you because this is a medical emergency. Dr. Sci-Fire, and I wanted to know from your expertise, how serious is this for the residents there? And do you believe federal agencies have responded appropriately with the medical care that's needed?
Now, I wrote a thorough piece on foxnews.com about a week after this happened, and this was certainly a chemical catastrophe. And usually, we do have a good amount of train derailments, and usually it is confined to the local vicinity. But what has happened here in East Palestine, Ohio, is not just to this local vicinity. This is miles to come, and really anyone who gets drinking water from the Ohio River, which the number are millions, up towards 5 million. And initially, because there were these volatile toxic chemicals, they did decide to do a controlled burn, and that was to make sure that any immediate danger of a massive explosion that could have shrapnel and other things go off wouldn't happen. And so that was a good idea in the sense that they did avoid a massive explosion. However, good idea in the sense that they have now leaked the chemicals into the porous soil. It has now gotten into the soil. They burnt it off.
Yes.
It has created a plume. The plume is going down Ohio River, and they're essentially doing this turn off and turn on valve.
Yes.
It is my opinion that they did allow residents to go back too soon. They hadn't done their full toxicology reports.
And I want to get to that.
They were still looking at the air and the water.
Yeah.
Do I think that it is completely safe for residents to be back? I would say probably not at this point, but you can't displace an entire community for years to come. But I don't think that it was handled very well in the beginning, and I can only hope that they're continuing to get better and continue to give them the support that they need.
Now, I want to read a quote, and I want to come back to you for some quick thoughts on that. This is from an Ohio resident, and that's Wade Lovett. Doctors say I definitely have the chemicals in me, but there's no one in town who can run the toxicology test to find out which ones they are. My voice sounds like Mickey Mouse. My normal voice is low. It's hard to breathe, especially at night. My chest hurts so much that I feel like I'm drowning. I cough up phlegm a lot. I lost my job because the doctors won't release me to go to work. That sounds like in line with what you were just saying, isn't it?
Of course, it's very concerning, and this is probably at this point low-level exposure to these toxic chemicals. Will it have long-term consequences? The good news is probably not, but how long will he have this low-level exposure? If it is chronic low-level exposure, that could certainly come with long-term consequences, and so they need to continue to be there for them to make sure that they are continuing to decrease that exposure.
Okay, thank you so much for that. We want to go to Biden right now. He recently stumbled through answers over what happened in East Palestine, Ohio.
Are you planning to travel to East Palestine, Ohio?
At this moment, not. I did a whole video. What the hell? On Zoom. All I can every time I think of Zoom, that song of my generation. Who's zooming who? Wait. Let me answer the question.
I need a question for you. Now, Biden, clearly, he's not visited. It doesn't seem like he's really that interested in visiting. But there's another party in this scenario, which is the train company. The EPA just recently said that they're ordering them to complete the cleanup. Some estimates are about $1 billion for the cleanup. Is the train company being held accountable for the residents there? There's been a number of lawsuits that have went forth already.
Yeah, well, we'll see where those lawsuits end up. It doesn't seem like they're doing enough for those people. But, you know, look at the optics of this. As a reporter looking at this story, you see Biden in Ukraine telling the people of Ukraine, we are with you until the very end, however long that is. Oh, and by the way, here's another $2 billion. What are the people, if you're a resident in East Palestine, Ohio, what do you think about that? Because you're fighting a war as well. You're fighting a war against the air, the soil, the water. It just looks very confusing.
David and Goliath, for sure. Now, let me ask you, Guy, what do you think about Joe Biden's response to all this? Is kind of like whatever.
I mean, terrible, right? There he sort of had a brain freeze on Zoom. In the previous clip that we played, he had trouble remembering the name of the state of Ohio. He couldn't recall if he had spoken with the mayor of the town, but the message he's trying to convey is, oh, we've been all over this since day one, and it's someone else's fault. It doesn't add up. I think it's understandable why people are angry. And, Anita, I'm one of those conservatives who is very happy that the president went to Ukraine. I think that it was important to go there and send that message.
I'm not saying it's not.
But you don't only go to Ukraine and not go here. I mean, even his transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, had to be shamed into going to Ohio after almost 3 weeks. And so I think actions speak louder than words. They are catching up on their words because of the political problem that they have. And their actions, I think, underscore how they actually feel about this. And it's not a good look.
Yeah, that was my point. You can do both. Right.
And you should do both. If you're the president of the United States, you should go to Ohio in this case.
East Palestine, Ohio is a lot closer.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, and Joy Behar said something I think that a lot of people have taken note to, which is, oh, those folks voted for Trump, so why should he go? That's insane. All right. That was a really good conversation.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.